We are at the best car dealership in Metro New Orleans and beyond, Bergeron Automotive, 3525 Veterans Boulevard, corner of North Arnold, where you'll find Chrysler, Jeeps, Dodge, Rams, Volvos, you name it, they've got it. Doesn't get any better than Bergeron Automotive. And a pleasant good evening to you. Ken Trahan, sportsNOLAtv coming at you. Glad we are with you and that you have joined us here at Bergeron. And later on in the show, Tulane fans, get ready for the Green. We'll visit with Curtis Johnson, the new head football coach of the Green Wave. Of course, we are coming off of a weekend in which the NFL season culminated, putting a lot of people into a deep funk as it's over with, at least for this year, and there is a new champion. Elite company for Eli, fifth player to ever win multiple MVP awards and Super Bowls, and he certainly earned that based on his performance in Indianapolis against the New England Patriots. Ken Trahan, Bergeron Automotive, 3525 Veterans at North Arnold here in Metairie. And to break down the Super Bowl, as always, our good and great friends. First of all, former New Orleans Saint Torrance Small, always a pleasure.
How we doing, Ken? How we doing, guys? Hey, I wore my blue today in remembrance of the Patriots for a loss. But in the spirit of the Giants, way to go, Big Blue.
I thought the Patriots wore blue yesterday. I don't know. I'm just saying. Brian Ellie Walsh, did I miss something there from sportsNOLA.com?
Well,
That's how you ride the fence.
It's always great to be here with you guys. I'm not sure where he was going with that little introduction, but anyway, it's great to be here.
Always a pleasure. And we are very fortunate to have with us a guy that was a captain of a Super Bowl championship team in Super Bowl 11 when the Oakland Raiders defeated the Minnesota Vikings 32-14. He called the coin toss correctly, by the way, and they went out and won the game. He's got the ring with him today. We might persuade him to show it to you. He is Warren Bankston. Warren, it's great to have you with us.
Oh, Ken, I'm honored to be here, and considering that the Saints just won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, you had a choice of who you might have sitting in this chair, and so from a guy that played 35 years ago in the Super Bowl, I'm truly honored. I appreciate the invitation.
Well, I want to start with you, Warren, in terms of Super Bowls. How much has this game changed since you played in that game at the Rose Bowl so many years ago?
It's been a tremendous amount of changes. One thing I saw on TV was the security that they were going through. I mean, everything from inspecting every truck that went in the place to they had dogs sniffing all over the place. But I mean, just things like the halftime show. I mean, that was an incredible show just that they had during Super Bowl 46. And I'm sitting there bug-eyed looking at this, and I'm thinking about, you know, the band that was marching up down the field from what I hear at Super Bowl 11. You know, and then on a bigger scale, you know, just the equipment, the rule changes, the rule competition committee because the guys are bigger, stronger, faster, they're practicing year-round as opposed to like every 6 months when we would report to camp halfway out of shape. And so, I mean, just a whole bunch of changes, and it's very interesting how our game seemed like almost like a college game or a high school game compared to what's going on today.
It's a lot different, Brian.
Warren, I got a question for you. Would they have called that safety in Super Bowl 11 that they called on Tom Brady?
I think so. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, there's lots of rule changes that go on, but I mean, clearly, you know, I mean, whenever you throw the ball from the end zone to where there's no player, it's intentional grounding, it is a safety. And I'm sure that rule existed then. I'm sure research could be done to do that. But, I mean, the ball was not near anybody, so, I mean, it was clear.
Torrance, as a receiver, there were some people that tried to make the argument that maybe the receiver broke off the route, hence not intentional grounding. I don't buy it. What do you say?
Well, it wasn't anybody close. In order for it not to be called, somebody had to be close in the vicinity. It wasn't nobody nowhere near around. And plus, the thing that we're not talking about, he was under pressure. If you're under pressure and you're just trying to get rid of the ball to keep from getting the sack, and I think that's what happened.
Brian, the Giants had the ball for nearly 37 minutes in this game, and yet they needed a last-minute drive, as it were, to win the game. They were also somewhat fortunate in the sense that they fumbled the ball 3 times. One got negated by penalty, and the other 2, they were alert enough to jump on it to avert disaster.
Does the word karma ring a bell? Didn't you get that feeling when you watched the Giants yesterday that the ball just happened to bounce their way?
Yes.
And it's all about karma, I think, in a lot of ways. But you're right, Kenny. You could make the same case for the 49ers game as well. You know, they, 9-7, they go in and they're a hot football team, and they took care of business, and you know they should be congratulated.
Let's take a look at some of these statistics from the game, and we take a look at some of the numbers from it. Over 37 minutes of possession for the Giants. Total yards, a slight edge to the Giants. Rushing yards, they had the edge. Passing yards, they had a slight edge. First downs, an edge. Turnovers, they had the edge. Look at that ledger, Warren. You would think the Giants would have won by more than 4 points. They had the edge in every category.
Well, you would think, and sometimes statistics can be misleading, but let's look at the bigger picture, Ken. You know, whenever you're playing in the NFL, some teams just match up against other teams better than others. And there's an old saying, if Team A can beat Team B and Team B can beat Team C, then A can beat C. And it just doesn't hold true. You got 2 teams that every time they play, it's a 3 or 4 point game. They played back and forth. It almost reminded me of the Saints 49ers game when we were behind 17-0. We came back and then it went back and forth, and you think we're going to win, and I'm jumping and screaming at the house, and then all of a sudden they take the lead and we take the lead. And it almost comes down to, you know, who's got the ball last. And really, when you consider that had Gronkowski been about 2 steps further, this whole talk about the Giants and Eli and all that would have been put to rest just because of maybe, 6 feet where he could have caught the ball as it was bouncing on the Hail Mary pass. So, it was up for grabs, no pun intended.
Torrance, it always comes down to making plays. It's that simple. And Wes Welker had a chance to make a play. The guy's an incredible receiver with great hands. The throw wasn't that good. It could have been better and should have been better, but it should have been caught. If he catches that ball, we're not having this conversation.
Different ball game. But back to you. You say you were jumping up. You can still jump.
Oh, yeah. Thanks to my grandkids.
Let's look at this. Let's look at the game. The Patriots could not get the ball down the field. The Patriots they're not a team that stretch the field. They spread the field. They use all 53 yards of the field from sideline to sideline. They don't have great speed getting up the field. They like to use the tight ends or a receiver running up the slot. And that's what happened in this game. They got up the slot with Gonzalez. Did I pronounce that right? I don't want to Gronkowski. He got up this
easy for you to say.
Yeah. Yes, but he got up the field. That was the only time they threw the ball up the field until they had Welker. He didn't make the play. I think it was a great pass. If it hit both hands, he should have came in with it. I think 9 out of 10 he make that play. He just missed it.
That's okay. Coach Ditka might have called him Grabowski. You know what I mean? So it's all good, Brian.
Yeah, I'm convinced as you've seen this season develop, unfold, and even through the playoffs, I don't think Tom Brady was a healthy Tom Brady. Okay, I think his left shoulder bothered him more than we're all led to believe. And Torrance, and you guys know that played the game, when this guy, the pass that was intercepted by Chase Blackburn, that was not a real good pass on his fault. When you've got your whole body, you've got to throw, and I don't think he could actually do it. Same thing with the pass to Welker. And we can go down through the games over the last 5-6 weeks of the season.
No.
I don't think he was healthy, T. I'm telling you.
Well, we all have bumps and bruises. You have a few of them yourself right now.
No, but from a quarterback standpoint, you've got to put
Breeze wasn't healthy last year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Breeze, guy, it's part of the game. That's part of the game.
I'm not making excuses for him now.
Bumps and bruises are a part of the game. They just didn't execute, okay? That's all that happened. He didn't execute. That ball was catchable. He didn't catch the ball. Again, we won't be talking about it as he said.
I'm not making excuses for him. You're misunderstanding me. I'm not making excuses for him. I'm just saying he wasn't a healthy quarterback.
If you bring it up, you're making an excuse.
There you go. There you go.
Right.
Warren, you played on that great team that won it in the '76 Super Bowl, and Stabler was great. The defense was phenomenal. Those cornerbacks were shutdown guys. Nobody could do anything against them. We've seen 2 signature drives in Super Bowl history. One was Joe Montana against the Bengals, where they went 92 yards in 11 plays and scored on the touchdown pass to John Taylor to win 20-16. The other, was arguably the one by Eli yesterday, but the one before the half had to be the one to point to. That was absolutely remarkable. A 96-yard drive by the Patriots in 14 plays. They scored to take the lead. It turns out to be a 14-point swing That was a remarkable job by Brady and the Patriots.
10 of 10.
Oh, it really was. You know, I mean, when you look at the way it went back and forth, you know, in any moment you say, well, they've got it wrapped up. You know, when it was 9-0, I never gave it a second thought because they both have the ability to come back and do things. Then the Patriots had those 2 long drives, one for 96 and one for like 79 or so, and you say, okay, now they're on top of things. But you know, when Torrance mentions people get hurt and everything, I mean, the Giants had 2 of their tight ends out. They were actually playing with their tight end. The replacement for Gronkowski, Hernandez, no bugs on that guy. I mean, he did a great job.
Of course, he's been playing all year, but he's a great player.
So, and that's the whole thing. Whenever you have a team, I mean, they don't call it a team for anything because there are people that have to step in and do the job.
Yeah, here you go.
Yeah, next man up.
Yeah.
And so if you're not prepared, and believe me, like when you played for the Oakland Raiders, your eyeballs were hanging out the sockets from watching film over and over and over. And Madden's thing was if you know what you're doing, then you can concentrate on doing it, on how hard you do it.
About 30 seconds. Eli Manning goes from good to great now, doesn't he?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. When you're 2-time multiple Super Bowl MVP, to have had the kind of string that he had in 4 years ago and then yesterday and complete that kind of Super Bowl route, or run, I should say. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. He's an elite quarterback.
And Torrance, he deserves it because he's earned it. When you do it in that market, you have to have some toughness about you.
Oh, yes. To come in the fourth quarter, it's the way he's going about his business now. He's coming back in the fourth quarter and bringing his team back. You have to put him up there.
We'll take a timeout here. When we return in just a moment, we'll put Brian Alley Walsh on the hot seat about the other guy that plays quarterback named Manning as Sports NOLA TV continues from Bergeron Automotive in Metairie. Best site on the web, sportsNOLA.com. Again, Super Bowl analysis, LSU getting a start on their 2013 recruiting class. Of course, you can read all about their 2012 class, Tulane's as well. More on Tulane coming up with Curtis Johnson in the next segment. But right now it's time for our hot seat segment where we put Brian Alley Walsh on the hot seat and heat him up. And today's topic is this: where will Peyton Manning play football in 2012, if anywhere? Brian.
Kenny, I'm going to go out on a limb here. He's going to be playing football in the National Football League.
What, not arena ball?
Well,
come on, man.
You know what? There is so much conjecture with regards to where he's going to end up next football season. And as each day passes, particularly during Super Bowl week, guys, you know, there was another story that was emanating out of Indianapolis around the Super Bowl off the field. And it seemed like everything is pointing to him not being with the Colts next year. He's facing a big option bonus. The team is $28 million. That's going to be due him on March the 8th, I think. They've got to make a decision. And we understand all of the implications there. I just think when all is said and done and that when they get ready to start training camp, he's going to be with another team. Question is where? All right, I think he's going to be with the New York Jets. And I'll tell you why. It's a good situation. They've got a good window of opportunity here. I think they're going to. I think Rex Ryan is going to be looking for a good quarterback to lead this team to victory in a window, and I think that he'll be with the New York Jets next football season.
I think you're close. You're in the right division.
Okay.
Wrong team. I say the Miami Dolphins. I think that'd be a great spot for him. He has a receiver down there, Brandon Marshall, MVP of the Pro Bowl, which wasn't about anything, but he was an MVP of the Pro Bowl. Also has a nice, quick guy down there by the name of Reggie Bush that used to be with us. I think he'll be a great addition. Not only that, he has that little shifty receiver that all the quarterbacks love. He has the great little shifty receiver and best. I think it's a great opportunity for him to get down in Miami. He has a condo down there on the beach. Everything is spread out and ready for him. And what is your take on that?
Well, at 64 years old, I can tell you, injuries are heavy on my mind because I can barely lift my shoulders at times. And if the injuries doesn't come into play with Peyton, then it would surprise me. You never know if he's going to heal up completely from his neck injury. And when you think about Drew Brees, how the Saints got him when I think it was the Dolphins, wasn't it? That
Yes, they
Yes.
were.
they kind of passed on him. You know, he could have a lots more years. Now, Drew is much, you know, it's one of those cases where it was just a gem that you got, and he developed into what he is now. But I think the biggest thing to think about right now, will he even be able to play? And I can tell you, injuries take their toll.
I agree with you, Warren, totally. And the reason I say, first off, you're right. He's got to be able to play, first off, and be cleared. He's cleared by his doctors.
He's
Let
been
me
cleared.
finish.
He's been cleared.
He's been cleared to play by his doctors.
Unless you
Both
talk to
doctors,
Irsay,
okay,
right?
yeah.
Both doctors.
Yeah,
Two
both of his
doctors.
doctors,
Both
but not
doctors.
necessarily the team doctors, and they still have to do that. So once he is cleared, if he is cleared, all right, then I just don't see the Colts paying out $35 million, which is what it's going to be with the option bonus and his base for next year. You've got to go to a team that's got a window, and I think the Jets are that team.
Time for the judge to step in and render his verdict, because I have a very good concept of where Peyton Manning will end up and should end up, and that's in suburban Phoenix, Arizona, Glendale, with the Arizona Cardinals, for several reasons. Number one, it's a competitive team. Number two, there's precedent. Look at what Kurt Warner did at the end of his career and ended up in a Super Bowl and a few seconds away from being a Super Bowl champion in that locale with the Cardinals at the end of his career. In addition, the Cardinals have some weapons. One is named Larry Fitzgerald, who happens to be, when healthy and with a good quarterback, one or two of the best receivers in the NFL. He is an absolute beast. In addition, Early Doucette is a good player. They have other weapons. Oh, by the way, they beat the 49ers this past year late in the season, the team in their division that they would have to beat in an otherwise weak division. And, oh, by the way, this caveat. It's indoors. He'd be playing indoors at University of Phoenix Stadium, which is what he's accustomed to, which is what he absolutely thrives in. And at this stage of his career, no doubt that would make a difference. It also would make a difference with self-preservation when you're considering health issues. And therefore, I think more so than playing in the heat and humidity of Miami or playing in the cold of New York, where the scrutiny is incredible, and you'd be playing for a coach that's off the charts in terms of being off base, I think he's in the right place going to Arizona with a chance to win, because he has no chance to win in Indianapolis, even if he were to return. And by the way, I think he knows that, and I think that's why, even though it's sad he won't finish his career in a place where he basically built the franchise, he's in a better place going somewhere else, and I think that place is Arizona. When we return in just a moment, we'll turn our attention to Tulane and a new head football coach of Warren Bankston's alma mater, Curtis Johnson, and a one-on-one visit with the new head coach of the Green Wave coming up. We know you'll enjoy it. Stay tuned. That's next on sportsNOLAtv from Bergeron Automotive, 3525 Veterans Boulevard in Metairie, corner of North Arnold. Welcome back to sportsNOLAtv. Ken Trahan with you, and it's a pleasure to welcome Tulane's new head football coach, Curtis Johnson, to the show. Curtis, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Ken. Thanks for having me.
Well, I know you've been on the job for the better part of 3 months or so, but you split some of that time with the Saints. How difficult was that for you to accomplish?
You know what? Here's what the difficult part was. Just you going backwards and forward. Here's the thing that I've told everyone. I think I know every state trooper between here and Airline Drive. I mean, it's just back and forth. And I mean, guys will stop me and they'll greet me. They'll have a greeting for me. I'll put it like that. But here's the most difficult thing. It's just some games with the Saints. You neglected some of the things. And Pete Carmichael, Joe Lombardi, Carter Sheridan, Sean, Mickey, all those guys were so great. It made the job a lot easier. And then here, I guess a lot of people were putting up with me my late hours. But other than that, I mean, it's been good. It's been great.
Talk about what you bring here from the Saints, the winning pedigree that you all established, winning a Super Bowl, going to another NFC Championship game. What do you take here from that experience?
Well, here's what happened here at the Saints. This reminds me of 2006 when we first got to the New Orleans Saints. This New Orleans Saints hadn't been winning. We came in, we brought this new product in, and I tell you what, Sean Payton, nobody knew who Sean Payton was in this city, coming back from Katrina, and all of a sudden he blows up. His ideas, some of the stuff, his enthusiasm, all that stuff is perfect for here. I mean, it's perfect. Also, just winning a Super Bowl When you get an opportunity to do the best that you can ever do and you come out successful, that's a lot of credibility to this university.
You're local. That makes a difference here. And yet, as you study Tulane University, and you know it very, very well from an athletic perspective, they have not succeeded over 5 decades or so in football, with a few exceptions. Why will it be different under Curtis Johnson?
Here it is. Here's what I think happens. I think sometimes when you're not from here, you really don't understand the roots of this brand of football here, and so you think other places are much better. Well, I can tell you this, just being in the NFL, I know that there are more athletes in the NFL per capita in Louisiana than any other place, and Mississippi is a close second. So we can harness the guys that are here, and even the guys that LSU don't take, if we can get those guys and to get them to stay home, I think we'll be fine athletically.
You get Darian Monroe, you get Jordan Batiste, a couple of good examples of the kind of guys we're speaking of. Why can you get those kind of guys in the future that Tulane has not been able to get in recent years?
Here's what I wanted to do also. I wanted to get some local ties. I think Lionel Washington is very, very important to this staff. Not only he played in the NFL, he coached in the NFL. He's coached the likes of Charles Woodson, Nnamdi Asomugha, Tramon Williams. I mean, these guys are household names, and to bring him to a place like Tulane where he graduated and he's local, I think that's an added incentive. Then I kept Jason Rawlings, another guy who's local. He's from this state. I mean, he knows a lot. Doug Lichtenberger is also a guy who knows this state. Mike New, a former Voodoo coach, also, great quarterback. He sat in meetings with us. He knows this local area. I just think that it's just a win-win situation when you have local guys on your staff.
When you can preach that NFL gospel to potential student athletes, that helps in recruiting, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I think young men really dream about playing in the NFL. I still dream I got one more game left in me. So if you've been in the NFL and you've done it, and you can come back and bring it to a young man and tell him how to get in the NFL, I think that's volumes. And one of the things that we do is Mike New was a combine scout. He was the scout that set up all the combine interviews, set up everything. He cross-checked everybody in the United States of America. Matter of fact, I got to give him back to Mickey and Sean during draft time. But when you got that kind of credibility on your staff, you would say, golly, I got to really look at that place.
When you look at the facilitation at Tulane University, there's a football stadium on the horizon. How important is that to the future of Tulane football being successful? And what else do you need here to be successful?
You know what I think is very, very important? I think you start with the stadium here. You would love to see it like Georgia, where they just walk down the street and you see the fans all around. They leaving the dorm rooms. LSU, you see the guys from Clemson. They come down this hill. You want a college atmosphere. You want the pageantry of college football, where parents can come, visit their kids, they leave the dorm, they walk to the game, they come out, they have a good lunch, they have a good dinner, and now you see some great football. I think that's what college football is all about. Nothing against the Dome. I think the Dome is a great stadium, but it's nothing like no place like home. It's like Dorothy getting back to Kansas. No place like home.
Tulane is a terrific university. Everyone recognizes that, certainly top 50, if not higher than that academically. From an athletic perspective, the perception has always been that there's not the commitment to winning, that they don't give their coaches what they need to succeed on a big stage. Your answer to that would be?
Well, I think they do. I think right now, and I don't know what happened in the past too much, but I think everything I've asked for, they've given me. A new stadium on the horizon. I got to hire the guys that I wanted to hire. We get to recruit the guys we want to recruit. We jumped in locally. We were a little bit late, but we got some of the local guys. We got coaches coming up. We got 6 a.m. workouts, just exactly what we did with the New Orleans Saints. So I think right now, until they tell me different, I think we're getting what we need to win here.
Everybody likes their recruiting class on signing day. You'd think everybody's going to win a national championship if you listen to the pablum, as it were. But I know you are genuinely excited about it. And one of the things that needs to be said is that you honored the commitments that Bob Toledo had brought to this university, and I think there's something to be said about that. That said, I think you believe some of those kids can really help your program.
Absolutely. You know what? I think that former staff did a fantastic job of recruiting, evaluating, and even holding on to some kids. I mean, it was hard, making a decision on those guys, but I think they did a great job. But those kids are going to be the backbone. The kids that they recruited are going to be the backbone of this program. And I'm surely glad that they stayed and they were committed to us and they stayed with us. And these guys are, they are high-level players. Now, they wasn't too many slouches. None of them were. I mean, they were great players, and they're going to help us win a lot of games.
Tulane has had Perry Clark, Dave Dickerson on the basketball level, but to have an African American leading its football program at this university, which is perceived to be a wealthy university in New Orleans and yet a national university, has that set in with you the significance of being an African American head football coach at Tulane University?
You know what? And it's funny that you say that. I really didn't look at it like that. I just looked at it as more of an opportunity to help a program win. I think I can bring a brand of football that's going to bring some fast guys in here, an academic brand of football. I can sell this university, and I think my pedigree, my track record has said, okay, this guy can recruit, this guy can coach. You know, coach in the Super Bowl. You know, not many guys have done that and won it. You know, and been around some high round draft choices, late round draft choices. So what I think it said for me is that this guy can really, really coach. And I just happen to be African American, but it's a big help that I can coach.
Stepping stone. Everyone has looked at this university's football program as a stepping stone. Those that have been successful on a short-term basis left pretty quickly. Larry Smith, Mac Brown, Tommy Bowden. What about Curtis Johnson? Is this a stepping stone for CJ? And if not, why not?
Well, here's the reason why I don't think it is. I think I'm rooted in this community. I was born in St. Rose, Louisiana. I had to go away to get back home. And everybody wants to be here at home. I would love to be here for the rest of my career just because it is home. My mother's here, my family's here. I got sisters, I got cousins and ties here. My wife won't let me leave anyway. so you know, no, I think what it is, it's a job. And I'm just blessed to be here and with the Saints for the time I was. You know, I categorized all over the country. I was at Florida, I was in Idaho, I was at California, I was in Dallas. So now I finally get a chance to sink my teeth into the neighborhood. The rich tradition here. I love the parades, I love Mardi Gras, I love the festivals, I love the people. I mean, it's no place like home, like Dorothy.
Miami, private university, high academic standards, and became a football monstrosity. Can that be duplicated at Tulane?
You know what I'm going to try to do? I'm going to try to mirror that path. You know what Howard Snellenberger did a long time ago. He took West Palm Beach down and said, "This is the state of Miami." I'm going to take Baton Rouge on east, and I'm going to say what we're going to do is we're going to get every kid in the state of Tulane, and I'm going to get every kid that I can from that area first. And so if I do that, I just think that we can win a tremendous amount of games because of the talent level in that area.
Finally, what is the ceiling for Tulane football? Where can this program go?
You know what? I think with the new stadium, I think the president and the athletic directors are on board. I think once the people come and embrace us like they could, there is no ceiling. You know, I look at the University of Miami, back in 77, 78, they were talking about dropping a program. You know, 4 or 5 years later, they were winning a national championship. And I mirror that program because private school, in a city-type atmosphere. You know, so you're getting a lot of the same things. Here's the thing. When Miami convinced the players to stay home, they begin to win. And I think I can do that also.
CJ, it's great to have you at Tulane University. Glad you could stay home and make a contribution to this community. Congratulations, and we wish you nothing but success.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure, CJ. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll return in just a moment with more of Sports NOLA TV. We urge you to ask Sports NOLA. You can ask any question you'd like through our website, sportsNOLA.com. Send us your questions, and of course, we will get them answered for you through sportsNOLA.com. You can do so by Twitter, through Facebook, at SportsNOLA. Again, at SportsNOLA. Ask your question. Come to our site. I know you'll enjoy it. That's sportsNOLA.com. We would love to answer your question. Ken Trahan with you. Of course, National Signing Day just took place. Before we get to that, Warren, you're a Tulane graduate. You played at the university in the 60s when there was still a lot of hope, so to speak, and they were leaving the SEC. What did you hear from that interview with Curtis Johnson that might have encouraged you about Tulane's football future?
Well, that's a great question. I think what's encouraging is his enthusiasm and energy, certainly his background, and I think that whenever you have a new face in town and you it's like being traded from one team to another or moving from one job to another. You just come in with new energy, new ideas. I think the biggest problem that he will face is that obviously when you come in, the players that are in place are there. And so the people that he will recruit, they won't grow up until a year or 2 or 3 down the line, although he said his freshman team, none of them would be redshirted. So I think there's going to have to be a period of time where he's given time to develop the team, but I think all the elements are there for him to be successful. I'm very impressed with the things he said, and I wish him the best. You know, my dad played at Tulane on the Rose Bowl team back in '31. They were 11-0, and they lost to USC 21-12, and so we've got a lot of green in our blood. My son got his doctorate from Tulane. So
It's big, Brian.
Well, I'll tell you what, how could you not love Curtis Johnson? I mean, when I first met him on the Saints staff, he's just the type of guy that you'd like your son to play for necessarily.
Your son.
Yeah, your son.
Yep.
I didn't have any sons, but you know what? We all wish him well here. And Kenny, you and I have had this discussion before. Curtis Johnson's going to be as successful as the people he surrounds himself with, and as much as the resources that the university gives and affords him. And I think with his enthusiasm, Warren, that's a great word to describe Curtis. The sky's the limit with him. I really think so.
Torrance?
What I like what he said. One thing that he said that impressed me, he says no place like home. He wants to be here. This is his home. I think he's looking to try to build a team from the home. Homegrown, and I think that's going to help him out. That's what I like about
Let's
it.
take a look, in fact, at Tulane's signing class, and then we'll take a look at LSU as well. Here's the Tulane signing class, and you'll find 11 players from the Metro New Orleans area, stretching to Lutcher and Donaldsonville. Of course, a guy that was rated as a 4-star player by some of these services, whether you pay any attention to stars or not. Darian Monroe, significantly decommitted from Texas A&M. Of course, Jordan Baptiste decommitted from a significant school as well in Ole Miss to go to Tulane. So they convinced those guys to move, and that was big. So it's a good class for Tulane. LSU's signing class was a good class as well. The sky's not falling. It's still a good class. Quan Alexander, a signing day commitment for the Tigers. And yet the perception, Brian's a little bit different because the feeling is people are excited about Tulane and somewhat disappointed in LSU.
It's amazing how one game can influence the way people feel about a program. They went from being one of the most historical college football teams ever to a team on the decline in a matter of 4 quarters. And it just shows you how people love you and they hate you.
Yeah, lost 3 guys on the way to signing day. There were verbal commitments previously, and of course they didn't get Landon Collins, but it's still a good class. And LSU fans, you got nothing to worry about. You'll be an elite team again next year. Speaking of signing date, we were all over the place for sportsNOLA.com. Jude Young files this report on signing date.
National Signing Day is a huge event, or to be specific, a series of many events across the country, and that's certainly true in Southeast Louisiana, and particularly in the New Orleans area, where players were signing on the dotted line on their national letters of intent, saying where they were going to go to continue their football careers on the college level. It's an exciting time for many and their families, and sportsNOLAtv was all over the place trying to check out what was going on with all these players and schools. Schools that were happy about their hauls included Tulane University, as Curtis Johnson signed his first class as the head coach of the Green Wave, bringing in 16 players, including 11 Louisiana products and 9 from the greater New Orleans area. And no player was a better haul for the Green Wave than Darian Monroe, who switched his commitment from Texas A&M in the later stages of recruiting to ink with Tulane.
Congratulations. I know this was a tough process for you. Talk about the decision to ultimately stay at home rather than going to play in an SEC school.
I chose the school because it's a great academic school. I trust in Coach Washington and Coach CJ, and they're going to make a change, and I want to be part of that. And I want to stay home so my family can come watch me play every game. They don't have to buy plane tickets to come out there and spend gas money. They come right there to New Orleans and watch me play, and they're going to turn it around on me.
Meanwhile, some disappointment for LSU as their class wasn't ranked as it's normally been in the past few years in the top 5. Out of the Tigers' 22 signees, 11 came from Louisiana, and one positive was that it was the year of the linebacker, a position of need for head coach Les Miles and the Tigers. One of those linebackers, Jesuits' Debo Jones, certainly happy to get the late offer to play for the in-state power.
It was an offer that I couldn't pass up. It was closer to home. My family has always been an LSU fan, and I have always been an LSU fan, so it was just a great opportunity to play, to have the offer.
And it's exciting for you, especially because LSU, if there's a weakness on their defense, it's at linebackers. They were looking for quality numbers there. So you have an opportunity to come in and compete right away on one of the best teams in the country.
Yes, sir, I'm excited about it. I can't wait to get up there and play.
Without question, it's a happy day for many prep stars ready to move on for their college careers. sportsNOLAtv was happy to be there and will be even happier to see all of these young men from the greater New Orleans area succeed at the next level. I'm Jude Young, and this has been the High School Spotlight on sportsNOLAtv.
Great day indeed, and the future looks bright on both fronts. When we return in just a moment, we'll turn our attention to the New Orleans Hornets when sportsNOLAtv continues from Bergeron Automotive, 3525 Veterans Boulevard, corner of North Arnold and Metairie, where you can get the best deal on any car you want. A Volvo, a Jeep, a Dodge, a Ram, you name it, they've got it here at Bergeron Automotive. Come on and check it out as I have, and I know you'll be pleased. Back in just a moment. You want to get the best deal in town, you need to come to Bergeron, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, Volvo, 3525 Veterans Boulevard, corner of North Arnold and Metairie. Yep, the cars are on the lot. The 2012s look great. They smell great. They ride great. You're not going to get anything better than a Bergeron vehicle where a local family gets it done for you on a regular basis. Don't have to go through somewhere else to get what you want. Dennis Bergeron Industry will take care of you, as we try to do weekly here on sportsNOLAtv. Ken Trahan with you. The New Orleans Hornets meander on at 4-20. It's been very tough. Losing streak continues. Injuries continue. It's been tough for the Hornets. Brian, obviously this is a team that's in a bit of disarray. They told Kamen stay home. Now they're saying come back and play.
Crazy, isn't it? They fielded some offers for him, but it wasn't enough to entice them. You know, Kenny, I still don't understand why they did sit him. There must be reasons. They have the reasons, but if you've got a guy, and I think they're bringing him back to show that he's not a malcontent, and two, he can play. I mean, if you want to trade a guy, that's how you trade him. You put him on the court and you kind of showcase him.
That was my point. I didn't understand this in the first place. Never did. Now they got to eat crow and take him back and move him to play because Landry's hurt.
Right.
Let's take a look at some scores most recently from the Hornets heading into their game tonight at the arena against Sacramento and Marcus Thornton. Miami, of course, rallying past the Hornets. Then Phoenix. Hornets had them down and ended up losing by 17. Steve Nash turned back the clock, looking really good in that game. I mean, Nash was very, very good as we continue on with some of the results of the Hornets most recently. None of them have been very pretty. Of course, the Spurs at San Antonio. Hornets put up a fight but lost by 12. And then he had a chance to win against Detroit, a bad team, but Greg Monroe torched his hometown team with 24.16 boards, the former Helen Cox star, as Detroit beat the Hornets as well. And of course, that sets up tonight's matchup with the Kings at the arena. I'll be there. Follow a live chat at sportsNOLA.com. Torrance, I don't know. I mean, this season's a lost cause. At this point, you hate to say it, you're almost hoping they lose games to get a better draft pick.
Yes, the only thing we can hope for this season is more losses. More losses give us a better opportunity to hopefully to get a guy that could come in. Maybe we can get another Chris Paul, find another Jim or so in the draft.
Let's take a look at the Hornets' upcoming schedule. We mentioned the fact that they have the Sacramento Kings tonight. Then on Wednesday, the Bulls are in town. That's right, reigning MVP and Derrick Rose. And then Portland, Monty Williams' former team, and a good team in town on Friday. So a great chance to see the Hornets in action this week at New Orleans Arena. I know you pay attention more into the Hornets and watch them and like them, but you also pay attention to something that's very special to your heart, and Kids Hope. Talk about that briefly, if you will.
Oh, yeah, I tell you, whenever you play 10 years in the NFL on a winning Super Bowl team, you get a certain amount of attention from different places, and people, look up to you, and they put you in the place of like a role model. And one of the things that our church sponsors, Vineyard out in Kenner, is they sponsor, and it's nationwide, it's called Kids Hope USA. And what it is, Ken, is that you volunteer for a minimum of 1 year to mentor one child for 1 hour each week. My wife and I both have signed up. We've already begun the program. I've been mentoring for some time now. And I can tell you, the kids that we mentor are the ones that are handpicked because of extreme problems they have. Maybe it's a one person in the household, their house is burned down, maybe the father is not there anymore because of prison records or whatever might be the case, and to sit with these kids. And I remember the second time that I went to the class to get my child, he ran up to me, he was just so happy to see me, and it just gave me chill bumps. But to be able to pass along some principles of life and maybe change their direction from this way to this way is a blessing for me. It's not for them. They have no idea that I'm getting more out of it than they are. But Kids Hope USA, an awesome program.
Special men, Torrance,
Yes.
you're involved in the community as well. I know you appreciate that.
Oh, yes. I was sitting here listening to him, and I mentor a couple of young men that I mentor. I work with kids. I work with Booster Club president out at my facility. Not only if I'm trying to get the kids right, I give a free boot camp to the parents. I'm getting the parents right. I'm getting them right. So we have about 13 parents that come up and work out, and we're inviting parents from other parks. We're inviting them to come and work out and get healthy as well. So I'm trying to make it more of a family thing.
And Brian, you're involved with coaching young ladies, so you have some chance to impact youngsters
and
as
I
well.
can really appreciate
Yes.
what you guys do, and you know what, it makes me think how special you guys are, and how many people need gentlemen like yourself, how many kids in dysfunctional families or families that just a son or a boy or a girl that need a male figure in their lives, and I applaud both you guys.
Well, I'm involved in coaching. I've been involved in ministries for a long time, and clearly that's a passion of mine as well. Warren, the cream rises to the top, buddy. Raiders did so when you played. Eli Manning just did so, and you're the cream as well for doing what you do, my friend. It's been great having you with us today.
Appreciate it, man. My pleasure. I hope you have me back sometime. This was fun.
We'll do it again. Torrance, is always a pleasure. Keep up the great work. We'll see
Oh,
you next week.
enjoy. Great season. Now we keep moving on to the other sports.
And Brian, a real pleasure. Just sad because it's obvious the Saints could have beaten either one of those two.
I think that's the part of it.
That's the hurt.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
the sad part about it.
You watch the games and you go, the black and
I know.
gold could have been there. you know?
Yeah.
Wasn't
Gotta
that
do it.
exciting because of that?
Got to do it when you have the opportunity. They didn't take care of business.
Next year, the Saints in the Superdome.
Yeah.
Isn't that the first year
Be
that
the
the
first
home
time.
team would be?
It
in the
could
home
be.
stadium?
We've had a couple of
Keep your
close calls,
thumbs
but
up.
never in their home facility. For Brian, for Torrance, for Warren, I'm Ken Trahan. Thanks for joining us. Be a good sport. God bless you one and all. Rounding third and heading home. So long.